Welcome everybody to the EarthChat this July 2023, where we have a special celebration and a special guest. I'm Karin Stein. I'm Iowa coordinator for Moms Clean Air Force and its comadres program. We are a nationwide community of over 1.5 million parents, grandparents, caretakers. We fight to protect our children from air pollution and the climate crisis. Today, I have the honor to chat with my colleague, Carolina Peña. She is our program manager, comadres program manager for Moms Clean Air Force. Carolina is from Bolivia. I'm from Colombia. And today, our special topic is Latino Conservation Week. Nationwide, we celebrate the contribution that Latinos, in terms of communities and organizations, have made to call attention to the need to protect our air, our land, our water. And it is a time when we remember that moms, dads, mamás, papás, comadres, abuelas, abuelitos, everybody has to commit to protect these resources for our children and their children. And yet, we're fully aware that as part of the celebration, we need to call attention to the inequities that exist. And I think, Carolina, you can tell us quite a bit what I mean by inequities when it comes to access to clean air, clean water, and in general, a clean environment.
Thank you, Karin. I am very excited to be sharing with you this EcoCharla in such a beautiful time that is the celebration of the Latino Conservation Week. And most importantly, that we can share in this time our environmental concerns that affects the daily life, the health and the well-being of our Latino community. But most importantly, that we can share together that there are things that needed to be done.
Carolina, talk to us about the impacts that climate change is having on Latino communities and what can we do at Ecomadres and at Moms Clean Air Force and in general as Latinos and Latinas, what can we do to mitigate these impacts?
Climate change is directly affecting the quality of the air we breathe and the water that we drink. And many Latino communities are being disproportionately exposed to the dirty air because of where they live, learn, and work. As such, their ability to get out and enjoy the outdoors is impacted by these injustices. We have seen how increased wildfires in the north have led us to days of poor quality air across the country. Extreme heat waves is blanketing our neighborhoods to the south and causing detrimental health effects that lead to more hospitalization and even death. What's more is that the scientists have determined that this past celebration that we were doing for July the 4th was the hottest day on the record in the history of the planet. So with these weather trends this summer, is not going to be an exception to the rule. And thousands of families are already been preparing for a summer that promised to be extremely hot. And our communities, our Latino families that are living at the mercy of extreme heat, high temperatures are alive or death threat, as nearly 80% of farm workers identify themselves as Hispanic. And many, even they are working in the construction. We're seeing that they are the first responders and working in the outdoors, giving us the possibility of have electricity because they are working in the outdoors. So that's why we are advocating for the health of our communities in the Latinos, because it's important to our work. And in Ecomadres, our mission is to protect the health of these families, these communities, because we wanted to provide information about the consequences of air pollution and the effects of climate change. We work very close with our members and their communities to use their civic power to demand actions for elected officials at all levels of the government. And we, as you know, we regularly are participating in public hearings, forums, community outreach events with the common purpose that we wanted to have a positive changes in our neighborhoods. The climate crisis is a human crisis, and we have to defend our communities who are living and exposed to this growing climate crisis. We must take our concern and stories directly to those who represent us and press for equitable solutions and immediate action.
Carolina, what you talk about is super important because if we, as Latinos and Latinas in all our diversity, if we don't advocate for ourselves and our communities, nobody will. We have to speak up. I was reflecting a little bit about my own story. I think of myself as a South American child, a Central American teenager, and a North American adult. I was born and raised, I'm the granddaughter of German immigrants to Colombia. I was born and raised in the eastern savannas of Colombia, very remote farming region. I come from a farming background. And then when I was 12, my family moved to Costa Rica, and there my father continued farming in a different region. In Colombia, it was savannas. In Costa Rica, it's rainforest area. And then in 1980, I got a scholarship to come to Grinnell College in Iowa. I thought I'd stay 4 years, but life happens. I met my husband, had children. Why am I telling you this? I'm now 61 years old. I've had enough time to see how climate change plays out. I see how the landscape that I knew as a child has changed and how my family and friends are often struggling to carry out farming in a successful way because the climate has become more of a wild card, and we know the trajectory. Costa Rica, the same way. My brother and sister, they farm our land, and we also do conservation work in Costa Rica. We restore rainforests, and it's becoming harder even to restore native landscapes because the climate is changing. And so what native species do we now use to ensure that they can actually still be there in 50 years? And then Iowa. I mean, we have floods, we have droughts, we have just increasing frequency of derecho storms, which are straight wind, very damaging. Tornadoes are increasing, hailstorms. My house was just hit by a hailstorm and it destroyed cars, it destroyed roofs, it destroys windows. So my own perspective is one that I look at the big picture, and I know you have that history as well. Because as I understand, you have been working in energy transition for at least 10 years all over Latin America. And I would like to know a little bit more about that work, that life and work story, and how it guides the work that you're now doing at Ecomadres.
Thank you for sharing your story. As always, I am learning something more about your experience and how this movement that we are part of came to the heart of yours, and because of your family and your personal experience. Well, I am not far away to that. I have been working for over a decade in Latin America and the Caribbean. I have been working the Ministry of Energy on developing their energy agenda to incorporate sustainable energy. So when I was working with the countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, I was able to be living in one island, and we experienced the risk of hurricanes. So since that opportunity, I realized that the climate is changing and it's affecting even the people that are contributing the least, which are small islands and low-income communities. One of the achievements that I am very proud is, as part of my work with Latin America and Caribbean, it was that I was able to design and implement a regional program to integrate the energy educations in the science curriculum in the schools. And the objective was to train primary and secondary school teachers to help and motivate their students to become the energy and environmental leaders of tomorrow. And this one is because of our prime core interest that Latinos have, that we are very concerned about our environment as a moral, personal, and cultural conviction. We understand that having the access to clean and safe environment is important for the health and well-being of our families. And as my mother used to tell me, education begins at home. So that's how I was motivated to join Moms Cleaner Force to lead Ecomadres, because often many members of our community do not have access to or are not informed in their language about the impact that air pollution and climate change have on their health. So in Ecomadres, I found a team that supports the Latino community to fight for and build a safe, healthy, and equitable future in which all children can breathe clean air.
we want to see things happen. And at Ecomadres, we do this in a variety of ways. You may have heard about the Ecomusica program, which I happen to lead. I'm a professional musician. You see some guitars hanging behind me. And through music, we talk about taking action, air pollution. We talk about the climate crisis. We talk about stewardship and gaining hope. But we have the cafecitos, which are either online, but preferably in person these days, where we meet with community members and talk to them about the issues, give them information, give them tools. And we have all kinds of wonderful ways. We give testimonies. Everybody can do that. We even have tutorials about how to do that. So tell us, Carolina, today, how can Ecomadres help our viewers take action?
I will invite everybody to go to www.momscleanairforce.org and click on Join the Force, so they can be updated about the work that we do. For example, I can share with you that this is one of our fact sheets that we provide about this extreme heat, and we can get information about the thoughts, the concerns, and the wishes that we wanted the elected officials to do at the Congress. We have the opportunity to protect our health, advance environmental justice, and reduce the dangers of air pollution. Our communities deserve action now, today.
Carolina, thanks so much for those resources. It's really, really important that we all speak up as parents, as grandparents, as community leaders, as caretakers. We have to speak up for the rights of our children because they are non-negotiable, and you gave us wonderful tools with which to take action now, today. Gracias por estar con nosotras. Hay que recordarles a todos que hablamos español. It's important to remind everyone that we speak Spanish here at Ecomadres. Thanks for being with us, Carolina.
Happy Latino Conservation Week.
I want clean air and water, save our climate, save our